Hi everybody, it's Jack Canfield here. I'm your host on Talking About Success. My next guest is Christine Upchurch. She is many, many things. She's an award-winning leader. She's a TEDx speaker. She's the vibration of change creator. We might just throw that in a little bit, talk about what that means as well. She's a coach, a writer, a host of a syndicated talk show named aptly The Christine Upchurch Show. And in her upcoming book, The Top 20 Myths about Spirituality, which I'm really excited to talk to you about. She challenges some of the well-established beliefs within the consciousness movement. So we're going to delve down into that because consciousness, you're all out there, you're involved in spiritual pursuits, in consciousness, and maybe some of what you think about it might not be true. So let's delve into that. Now, let's start by asking you what inspired you? What was the inspiration for you to start writing about myths and studying about myths about consciousness?
Well, I've been on my conscious journey for a really long time and worked in, the energy healing field. And all of a sudden I started hitting the wall in certain ways. And I found myself in a situation where somebody was kind of judging my anger, even though it was not toxic anger, it was very controlled. I found myself judging myself about feeling anger. And I thought, what is this about? And this person I was interacting with was sort of like had a lot of the spiritual frosting, shall we say. Very, very nice, but there were some undercurrents of some things that were hidden. And I thought, why am I feeling this way about anger? Is it not spiritual? Because there's this belief out there that, love, it's spiritual, but anger, it's ego-based. So I thought, what if I shift my belief and say, okay, this anger's here to help me on my soul's journey? Totally shifted things for me. Suddenly I understood that sometimes the anger was saying, I've got some woundedness, usually childhood crap, that I needed to deal with. And sometimes it was saying, it's time to set a boundary. And I also understood that the anger was like this motivator for forward movement. So the anger actually served my soul's journey. So I think that if we look at all the emotions, which is part of our humanness, as ways of informing us of what our soul's trying to help us, help tell us, then we really can move forward, and it's all spiritual.
Okay, so one of the myths you've just unpacked is that anger is not spiritual.
Right,
okay.
right. Yes.
So what's another myth? What's another myth out of your 20 myths that we need to look at and think about?
Another one is that it's always helpful to seek spirituality. Now, we all call ourselves spiritual seekers when we're on the path,
sure.
Right? And it dawned on me one day, the first time I ever heard the word seek was as a child. Hide and seek. And I thought, that implies it's hidden. I mean, Timmy down the street, he was always hard to find, right? And so what is it about, our spiritual nature that should be hard to find? I mean, aren't we born with it just the way we're born with taste, say? I also looked at how people were seeking by looking at, gurus and religious leaders who were sometimes being abusive is a strong word. Sometimes they were. Sometimes it was sort of like just taking their power away. And I recognized looking outside of ourselves when it really is within can be toxic, misleading, and also, seeking means to try to find something, to try to discover something. So it's almost like there's this striving or struggle. And really with spirituality, it's about allowing. It's about opening to receive. So, I've just decided, there's several ways in which seeking is not always helpful.
Very good, very good. I think seeking implies that you don't have it. You're looking for something that you don't already have.
Absolutely. And with taste, it's like, we come to the table with a sense of taste. But we don't say, I need to go find a guru to teach me how to, taste this soup, right? It doesn't mean we don't occasionally want to go out and take a course in like how to taste wine so we can discern some nuances about it. That kind of guidance is helpful, but we were born with it just like we were born with taste.
Beautiful, beautiful. What's another myth?
Let's see. Another myth is that the best spiritual experience happens in retreat or isolation.
Got to go sit in a cave, go to retreat in the forest.
That's right. And all of those processes, whether it's prayer or meditation, or going to spiritual retreats, workshops, connecting with others in that way, it's very helpful. but it's not really meant for the cave. The juiciest spiritual experiences are what happen, when we go about our normal daily lives. I think about a time when I was going out. It was like a snowstorm about to occur, according to the news. It was going to be a big snowstorm. And I was out buying some Italian bread in an Italian bakery. And I noticed there were all these pigeons around. And I thought, they're going to have to survive this snowstorm. So I started giving them bread. I don't normally go around feeding pigeons, but it was one of those moments I was inspired. And there was one pigeon who sat on my foot and cooed the entire time. And I felt this transcendent connection to all that is. And that was just about me going to the Italian bakery, So it's the sort of thing where if we sort of open our perspective and say, it's not just about what happens in the meditation room, it's really about how we connect what we're aware of and what we perceive and how we tune into our own inner experience as we go about normal daily life where the fun stuff occurs.
Yeah. I once heard a woman give a talk called How I Became Enlightened Driving Carpool.
I love that, yeah.
Yeah, it's often in those everyday experiences where we really get to look at it and see the beauty in everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You talk about limiting beliefs. These are limiting beliefs.
Right.
And how can people discover what their limiting beliefs are?
Well, I think there are a couple of questions people can ask themselves. First of all, you need to be aware of what your belief system is. I think a lot of us, when we got into the New Age movement or started expanding our consciousness beyond religion, we thought, we've broken down the sides of the box, right? And we need to sort of discover where the sides of our own personal boxes are. One of the questions you can ask yourself is, what's my belief here? Is there a belief I have relating to this? Secondly, do I judge others based on this belief? Or do I judge myself? And what would happen if I went for a day or two and didn't have this belief? How would things, change? And it's nice to do a little experiment. I think of myself as like a little scientist, the way a little kid will play with a ball, to see, what does gravity do here? They don't call it gravity because they don't know what it is, but they say, it's going down a ramp. I better go catch it. I think that it's really helpful to sort of go about our lives as little scientists in the spiritual realm and then just kind of explore, ask questions, be curious, and then see if there's something you can let go of. Because if there's something that you can let go of, then it means there's this opportunity to see what's on the other side of that box.
Very good, very good, very good. I just have a curious question. You obviously are someone that's still very spiritual, and you're interested in spirituality. Yeah. And I'm just curious, in your own life, what practices you practice?
Well, it's interesting. For a long time, I worked in healing, and I would spend hours every day facilitating healing, and that would get me into this certain kind of zone. And I would find that I wouldn't need to meditate at all. Then I went through stages where I would meditate daily. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm home, I'm living by myself most of the time. If I'm home alone, I can just take this organic flow. And unless I feel like somehow I need an answer that I'm not getting, because I get a lot of intuitive answers just sort of living organically, then I will take the time to quietly sit down and meditate. If there's something I'm inspired to visualize, to manifest, I will take the time. But I don't think it needs to take a whole lot of time. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. I think we're getting to the stage now where if we've practiced it, it's a matter of just kind of tuning into that connection, tuning into the quantum field, tuning into the connection of all that is, and finding our purpose, finding, what the next step should be, whatever it is, whether it's, a part of our day or our bigger mission.
So it sounds like you're living in a state of mindful awareness in the present moment. If you're flowing with that, everything's okay. And then if somehow you get out of that, you might use the practice to get yourself back in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I find that I feel this spiritual connection, most of the time. But if I start to feel disconnected from my body, like I'm eating too much junk food, then I know I need to meditate regularly, because it's not just about the connection there. It's also about the connection here. Yeah. So
beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I love it. Yeah. Well, I wish we had more time. It's one of the frustrations of this kind of a show. But if people want to find out more about you and your work, where do they go?
ChristineUpchurch.com and also top20myths.com.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all that.
Thank you, Jack. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. I've actually looked at all the other myths. I think they're really profoundly useful for people that are on a spiritual path to not get caught in the cul-de-sacs, if you will.
Right.
So I really encourage you to go to her website, look at her book. She also does trainings and workshops and listen to a radio show. Christine Upchurch. It's not only in Seattle where you live, I think, but it's also on a lot of different blog talk radio and
Transformation Talk Radio, and then about 50 different podcasts after the fact.
Podcasts, yeah. Okay. So you know what to do. Do it. Stick around. We'll be right back after this break.